Yeah, hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Boafowa's podcast show. Now, coups are a common occurrence in West African countries, and the impact of these coups on the lives of women in the region is significant. Now, a leader seizes power through a coup d'etat by using force, which causes rapid and dramatic changes in the political system. Now, coups can occur to overthrow a corrupt leader or to bring order to an unruly administration. Now, to understand the impact of coups on women in West Africa, it is important to look at some examples of coups in West Africa. In 1983, there was a military coup in Ivory Coast which led to the overthrow of the sitting government. Women's rights were severely restricted during this time. In Liberia, a military coup in 1980 led to thousands being killed and displaced. Women were arrested, tortured, and sexually violated. In Nigeria, a military coup occurred in 1983 which also led to the overthrow of the government. Women were subjected to violence, no education, no employment opportunities. Now, these examples of coups in West Africa demonstrate the significant impact coups can have on the lives of women in West African region. Now, the coup d'etat of the past decades have had a tremendous impact on women, youth, and children in West Africa. Now, during these coups, women, the youth, and children have been faced with a number of challenges. The impact of the coups on women, youth, and children has been immense and far reaching. They have faced violence, displacement, poverty, and no education. Now, let's talk about the recent coup d'etat in West Africa, which many see as a revolution in disguise. Now, over the past several years, a series of coups have taken place in the region. The governments that have been ousted have been replaced with new leaders who have promised to bring reforms. Now, the most notable of these coups in West Africa have taken place in Mali, where a military coup took place on 24th May 2021, led by the head of the junta, Assimi Guata, which resulted in the overthrow of the interim president, Ba Indor. On the 5th September 2021, Colonel Mamadi and his special force overthrew the president Alpha Conde in Guinea. Now in Burkina Faso, there was a coup d'etat on 23rd January 2023, led by Captain Ibrahim Traore. Now these coups have been a revolution in disguise because they have resulted in the juntas seeking the expel of France from their countries. Now, this demonstrates the power of the military juntas in West Africa and the insecurity of the democracy in West Africa. In addition, these coups have also been a catalyst to adopt a more proactive stance in addressing the issue of terrorism and jihadist violence in West Africa. Now, Niger's coup in West Africa is the biggest challenge for ECOWAS. On July 26, 2023, General Omar Shiani and his junta-led forces ousted President Mohamed Bazoum and took control of the presidential palace. Now, less than 24 hours later, ECOWAS condemned the coup and imposed strict economic sanctions against Niger. Currently, the concern is focused on the secondary and tertiary effects of allowing a string of coups to be unchecked. But what can ECOWAS actually do? In 1990, we can recall there was a civil war that plagued the coastal nation of Liberia, led by Charles Taylor, who ousted the then President Samuel Doe in a conflict that started in December 1989. Now, the ECOWAS took the unprecedented step of sending peacekeeping forces into Liberia out of concern about escalating refugee flows and the loss of foreign investment in West Africa. Now, those troops helped to establish an interim government. They created a condition for new elections. They freed political prisoners and pushed for a ceasefire in Liberia. It redefined the concept of sovereignty in West Africa by creating an ad hoc organization that had the authority to send soldiers to another nation's territory. Now, since then, ECOWAS has deployed peacekeeping troops into Sierra Leone, Guinea Bissau, Ivory Coast, Liberia, Mali, and the Gambia. Now, some of these missions established peace agreements, others failed to maintain lasting ceasefires. Now, ECOWAS has a long history of interventions. Not always is it military. Now, these interventions are backed by a strong legal framework that forces ECOWAS members to adhere when undemocratic transitions occur. Now, previous ECOWAS intervention missions have never encountered a crisis posing a serious security danger to the regional stability in West Africa as the one we are seeing today in Niger. Now, can you tell us your thoughts about this issue? Thank you very much.